What's a secret you will take to the grave but don't mind telling on the internet? I had a sweet, wonderful student who had been in foster care, but his mom worked her ass off to get him back, and she did. He had to take a very important correction, state exam, and she called me and asked if he passed it. I looked at the grades and saw he did and said so. She burst into tears of joy, and that is when I saw I had read the wrong score. He had failed. So I changed his grade to passing. No one knew. That was the only time I ever did that. That could have cost me my license. The weird thing is, when my awful, corrupt principal pressured me to change other students' scores so we could raise our pass rate, I refused. I never told anyone what I did for my student. He went into the military, was extremely successful there, has a great wife and kids, so I think I did the right thing. Fuck those tests. They aren't human. I used to work for the airport, and so got very discounted fares for friends and family. My mom was going on a trip with her friend to Key West, and they were going to drive since flying was too expensive. I talked her into letting me handle the flying arrangements, and they'd save a ton. A typical 500-plus flight turned into like 250 for both of them combined. Well, I was still kind of new at booking reservations and whatnot, and I ended up screwing up the reservation. I think I only booked it for one way or something. So the night before their flight, I rebooked it and paid the $450 for the both of them. Money I really didn't have, and have since never told my mom. It was for Mother's Day, so I figured that was my gift to her. It's been nearly 10 years since. Speaking of grave, when I was a teenager, some friends and I got really stoned and walked around the town cemetery. There was a whole section of generic flat grave markers from the 1800s. I found myself trying to imagine their lives in the same town I lived so long ago. Then I saw one plate kind of sticking up and crooked, and I bent down to touch it. It wasn't attached at all, and I lifted it up in my hand. Right then, my asinine, stoned teenage brain decided to put it in my backpack. I thought I'd somehow honor this stranger more than the shitty groundskeeper leaving it all willy-nilly in the middle of the aisle. None of my friends saw what I did. Few hours later, sober, and the guilt and panic are setting in. I hid the plate in my closet for about a year before I chucked it back over the fence one day, late at night. I hope Bessie Jane Holmes doesn't mind that I kept her for a while. I still think back and shudder at the guilt of such immoral fuckery. When I was 7, my dad was dating this woman, and they seemed pretty happy. But she had a son who would molest me for months in my own room and eventually lead to him raping me. If I was to have told anyone, that would break up our parents, and I didn't want my dad to be sad, so I just took it.